Batman v Superman is definitely a film. There are so many thoughts and opinions on this movie, and I want to see where I stand after all this time. I remember enjoying this a lot more than others did back then, but who knows how this will stand the test of time. And in case anyone's wondering, I'm watching the Ultimate Edition of this film. All 3 hours of it. Batman vs Superman was the second film in the DCEU after Man of Steel. And if that statement alone doesn't explain why everyone was hesitant of this movie from the get-go, then I don't know what will. You barely set up Superman and Man of Steel, and now we're supposed to introduce Batman, Wonder Woman, the Justice League, and still have the confrontation between Batman and Superman, you know, the whole point of the film, all in a 2.5 hour runtime? There was a lot of skepticism met with this movie, and it's justified. But hey, just because a task seems daunting and everyone's telling you that it's impossible doesn't mean you can't succeed. Remember all those teachers telling you that you couldn't finish an assignment the night before and you ended up doing it anyways and you got a good grade? Batman vs Superman could easily do the same thing. Oh fuck. Yeah, unfortunately this film was not received very well when it was released. And it also did not make the money Warner Brothers thought it would. The opening weekend was good, albeit maybe a bit lower than anticipated, but it had a huge drop off from week 1 to week 2, and from then on it was history. This film by all means should have been able to reach $1 billion, and it couldn't even manage to pull that off. You have two of the most famous superheroes battling it out in a movie in 2016. Fantastic actors playing iconic roles, the superhero craze being in full force at the time, and an Academy Award-winning screenwriter? What the hell happened here? This film had a lot going for it, but it also had a lot holding it back as well. At the very least, can Batman vs Superman meet in the middle of the two extremes and be just an okay movie? There are things this film does right, wrong, good, bad, incredible, and fucking abysmal. It's a big conglomeration of ideas that Warner Brothers threw at this movie, hoping some of it would land. Right off the bat, we have yet another origin story of Batman. Look, I'm pretty sick of these by now, but if it absolutely had to be in here, it didn't, then this is the way to do it. Shove it in the opening credits, make it stylized so it's different to the viewers, and make it quick. The scene in Metropolis I genuinely think is great. You get to see Bruce Wayne's motivation for disliking Superman. We get a new angle on what happens when these superheroes take down the bad guys in a heavily populated area. It's not all sunshines and rainbows. People are dying below on the streets, and in the buildings they're blowing up. This Africa sequence feels like it's straight out of a different movie, I'm not gonna lie, but it gets the job done, I guess. More press for disliking Superman, furthering the motivation for Batman. Lois Lane is introduced because love interest. This would have been neat if it wasn't so in your face about it.
Now a fight breaks out, Gotham City, you know how they are about their football team. Things could get ugly in the city tonight.
That line made me nauseous. Fuck yeah, I gotta say, Batman in this film is a big thumbs up from me. I'd even go as far to say he's my favorite on-screen Batman. And I can hear everyone clicking the dislike button already. I love how feared, grim, badass he is in this film. I won't claim to know the character of Batman one-to-one like I do Spider-Man, but as a movie fan who likes Batman as a film character, this is my favorite incarnation.
I just don't know if it's possible.
Don't know if what's possible.
For you to love me and be you.
What? I understand if there was sexual tension building up between the two, but this was so out of left field and made me laugh at how weird it was that I had to mention it. Oh man, Lex Luthor. People went crazy when Jesse Eisenberg was announced to play him, they went crazy when we saw trailer footage, and they went crazy when the movie was released. I completely understand, he's so fucking dopey, spastic, and weird, it doesn't feel like that type of character belongs in this movie. As for me, well, cue the next batch of dislikes coming in. I don't mind this take on Lex Luthor. Yes, it's weird, but I think it's kind of funny, and Jesse Eisenberg's acting, given the direction they wanted to take the character, I think fits well. But if you had a gun in my head and said explain why Zack Snyder put this in the movie, well, just get my tombstone ready, because years later I still don't fucking know. Maybe a little later than normal, but it's nice to see that there's also a reason civilians dislike Batman and want to see him taken down. The hate is still pretty one-sided towards Superman rather than Batman, and they only really did this to even the unbalanced playing field, but I appreciate the effort.
I'm blocking the import license for your mineral.
I wish this was more of what we got to see from Eisenberg. A weirdo spaz, but in this creepy way. Like, I don't want to be in a room alone with him type creepy. This is a take I would have gotten behind for the entire film. We get our first real interaction with Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent here. I love this scene. The execution is so simple. It's just two characters with clashing ideologies talking with each other. The framing starts getting tighter as the conversation starts to turn into an argument. This is great stuff.
Boys, Bruce Wayne meets Clark Kent. I love it. I love bringing people together.
And this is where the scene I once loved goes downhill. Lex Luthor does not fit in any interaction he's placed in, and no other scene is more noticeable than this one.
Ow, wow, that is a good grip. You should not pick a fight with this person.
I just got nauseous again. I gotta say, I do enjoy when Zack Snyder gets to use his own creative style. These scenes of Superman saving people are awesome. You can tell this is Zack Snyder directing, and it works for me. I have nothing more to say than fuck fuck yeah, this is awesome. Everything about this sequence is incredible. Unfortunately, it means nothing towards the progression of the story, but I've never met anyone who doesn't at least enjoy this. Come on, this tracking shot is fucking beautiful. I don't even want to begin to talk about this. Next. I almost want to forgive the goofy Lex Luthor we've seen thus far when this moment happens. It gives the character a darker side that he's been hiding when we see what he's capable of. There is an evil under the goofy facade. Oh yeah, Wonder Woman's in this movie too. She hasn't done much of anything and it's been an hour and a half, so surely she's not important to the story in any way, shape, or form. Right, Batman and Superman are about to fight soon. I forgot that was the point of the movie. I was distracted by the millions of other things going on in the story because when I think Batman versus Superman, I think of Lois Lane's journalism reporting shit and this Russian guy who's been in the film for far too long. Needless to say, the fight is entertaining as hell. I love this part specifically. Definitely worth the time it took to get here because it definitely took its time to get here. And then it's over because Bruce and Clark's mom are both named Martha. Yeah, it's stupid. Yes, it's dumb. It's been talked about to death. Let's move on, please.
Why did you say that name?
15 minutes of Batman and Superman fighting on screen, and now it's time to team up and save Martha. Cue another dope-ass Batman action scene in the warehouse. I'm always down for more of these. Oh wait, this was just a distraction for Lex Luthor to create Doomsday to kill Superman because when I think of Batman versus Superman, I think of Doomsday and a superhero team up fight. Again, I like the spectacle. The fight here is good fun, but why? Alright, maybe I shouldn't be such a negative asshole. I really was glued to the screen for the last hour because there was so much going on action and story-wise that, come on, you can't blame me for enjoying this. Even though I was harping on her being in the movie, this entrance is fucking awesome and the fight only gets better when she's introduced. So after another 15 minutes or so of comic book fighting goodness, it turns out the only way to kill Doomsday is to use kryptonite. I could have told you this ending from a mile away, but okay. Superman's dead and that's pretty sad. Lex Luthor gets caught and is put in jail. There's a funeral scene where they set up the Justice League some more, and ladies and gentlemen, that's Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice. This movie is dumb, straight up. There's hardly any structure going on here. It's just a mishmash of scenes that either look cool, serve to supply the next DCEU movie, or are needed to please those that wanted an actual Batman vs Superman film, God forbid, right? It needed to be way too many things that there's no way in hell it could have ever been done in a cohesive manner. Characters pop in and out whenever the hell they want to. Don't get me started on Wonder Woman. This Russian dude was in here for such a long time because of some subplot that I already forgot about because I could care less. Lois Lane and her journalism stuff was neat, I guess, but far from what I want in a Batman vs Superman film. Lex Luthor was incredibly mishandled, and again, I didn't mind it, but he did not need to be here as he was one of the main reasons why the plot was so disjointed. When Doomsday was introduced, it took an already messy story in an even worse direction. While it might seem like this whole video was just me bitching, I was actually thoroughly entertained watching it. How could I not? There was a million things to keep watching on screen. The cinematography, while many criticized for being too dark, I liked it a lot, and the stylized scenes where we saw Zack Snyder's vision was awesome. I love Ben Affleck as Batman more than probably anybody should. The bulky build, the gruesome nature of him, the action scenes he was featured in, he gets an A+ in my book. Not just Ben Affleck, but all across the board, the performances were great. You can have your opinion on Lex Luthor, but again, considering the direction they chose to take him in, I think Jesse Eisenberg did it well. Gal Gadot, Henry Cavill, Amy Adams, Lawrence Fishburne, Jeremy Irons, and many others that I didn't mention, all fantastic. The score by Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL is great stuff. I was listening to it while writing the script and editing. There truly are great things I enjoy about this film. Had it just been about these clashing ideologies that Batman, Superman, and the civilians all had be the meat of the film up until they decide to fight it out, then this could have been something special. These moments between the two characters were by far and away the best parts of the film. Can you imagine a 2-hour movie with scenes like this and the badass fight we had? Also including a layered and structured screenplay in there as well without all the useless setup that was forced in. No Lex Luthor, no Wonder Woman, no Doomsday, no Russian guy, no Justice League setup, just two of the most popular superheroes wanting to take each other's heads off. As it stands, it's a very entertaining movie, but it's got issues. Plenty of issues. I'm not gonna argue with you if you can't stand the film, but I kinda dig it.